Hey, Talk Heathen audience, Objectively Dan here, and I hope you like Truth Wanted because we're doing a little bit of a Truth Wanted takeover of Talk Heathen today. So buckle up because the show is starting right now. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Talk Heathen. I'm your host, Objectively Dan. This is a show where we're open to all your questions about religion, secular humanism, and atheistic morality, cosmology, philosophy, science, history, life, the universe, and everything else that kind of comes with that. Again, I am your host, Objectively Dan. Joining me today is Kelley Laughlin of Truth Wanted fame. I'd say, is that appropriate, Kelley? I'd say so.
I don't know about fame, but yeah, I am on Truth Wanted.
It's your first time on Talk Heathen, I believe.
No, it is not.
Oh wait, that's right. No, you were on before,
times.
but it wasn't with me. That's the important thing.
That is important,
right? This is our first time hosting Talk Heathen together, and we're both known for our Truth Wanted antics, I'd say. So this is a special Truth Wanted edition of Talk Heathen. That's how I'm choosing to frame this. But in case you're new here, Talk Heathen is a production of the Atheist Community of Austin, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the promotion of atheism, critical thinking, secular humanism, and the separation of religion and government. And we are a live call-in show. We have open lines for you right now. So get your calls in at 512-991-9242. Or if you don't want to call through the phone, you can do it through your computer at tiny.cc/call. We are live every Sunday at 1 p.m. Central. But if you can't make it live, that's okay. We do have recorded versions of the show available wherever you get your podcasts, and of course on YouTube as well. So we are here, we are live, and we're ready to go. Kelley, what's up? How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. I'm really happy to be here. It's kind of weird to me, like, to be doing a show when it's light outside, because it's usually
That's
dark.
True. That's true. And, I always like awesome. I like doing Talk Heathen because I feel like I get a little spicier on Talk Heathen.
Yeah, sure.
Than I do on Truth Wanted. And I think it's just a little more appropriate for that space. But anyway, like I said, we got Tina. Shout out to Tina, who is taking calls right now, and we have open lines, so you should go do that so you can give us something to talk about, because otherwise, it's just gonna be me and Kelley kind of shooting the breeze for
you don't want to hear that too much.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, it's great a little bit, but let's not do it too much, right?
It's great a little bit. We were having some fun talking about Bigfoot in the Mormon Church. This has probably been talked about in Talk Heathen before, I imagine. But in case you don't know, it's not official canon in the Mormon Church, but there are a lot of Mormons that believe in Bigfoot, because one of the early church sort of founders wrote a letter to some guy saying he saw a big hairy guy who he interpreted as Cain, cursed to forever walk the earth, and be cursed and stuff, but also is Bigfoot, I guess. So that's an interesting little rabbit hole there.
Which actually totally explains why Bigfoot is seen all over the world, because he has to wander the world from the earth forever. So
yeah, if you're cursed to live forever, you might as well take in the sights.
Yeah, right.
I think that's it.
And like I said, that's a perfectly great explanation for the sightings all around the world too. I don't know why I didn't even think of that before.
Yeah, but like you probably can't. You have to go to the big places, right? Because if you go to the small ones, like if you go to like visit Easter Island, I don't even know if you could. Do people just take boats there? Can you actually walk around if you're like not a researcher? I don't know. I'm just saying, like, you probably get caught. You're like, hey, that's a big hairy guy on Easter Island. Like you probably get spotted pretty quick, I imagine.
Yeah, I would imagine that. Yeah, on a small island. Yeah, unless you're like got a really good hidden cave, I guess.
Right. Yeah, there's something to that. And also, it kind of reminds me of technically like the first sighting of Loch Ness was by a Catholic saint. Did you know this?
I know that I do know that a Catholic saint did record a sighting of the Loch Ness monster. I did know that.
There was a Catholic saint. I guess they're not saints at the time. They're always saints kind of figured out later. But he was a guy that supposedly saw a water beast in Loch Ness, I guess, and did the sign of the Christian cross to him and scared the beast away. So I guess that's a pro tip. If
Would
you're a
scare me
Nessie
away.
hunter, don't have any crosses on you, because you might be scaring Nessie away. Maybe that's why we've had some trouble. Some Christians have, gotten on the submarines or whatever. I guess they don't use submarines in that lake.
People say you can't prove a negative all the time, right? But I don't know if you're familiar with environmental DNA studies, but
yeah, dude, I'm always about environmental DNA studies. I'm talking about them every day, Kelley. You know this.
They did do an eDNA study of Loch Ness, and there's no monster there. So
yeah. For audio listeners, I was joking. I don't know if that came off clear.
It's cool. Well, no. and I knew you were joking because I knew you knew, but I don't know how many of our viewers know
that's the thing. I've seen a thing where they did like sonar and stuff on that lake, right? Because it's like, if the thing is like that big, like it should be popping up, right? Have they like put submersibles down there? I don't know.
Oh yeah. I remember, it probably was back in the 80s when they got the picture of the flipper that made the front page from a underwater sonar or an underwater camera. But I mean, obviously that a lot of people were saying it wasn't a flipper, and obviously it probably wasn't, because if it was, we'd be picking up some DNA that we weren't able to identify, right? And interestingly enough, they did pick up DNA from an eel species they didn't know was living in the loch, so they did find something there at least. So
eels are so cool. That's like, we need to take our Loch Ness research and put it into eels, because like there's still a lot of, do we know how they make electricity and stuff, the electric ones now? Wasn't that like a thing we didn't know about? Is that do we know that now?
For centuries we thought that baby eels and adult eels were different species.
I think I heard that. And then also, like, they didn't know how eels reproduced or whatever. What's up with eels, man? Why are eels the mysterious beasts of the sea that we don't know much about? That's kind of unexpected. If there's one thing I've learned about this life, though, Kelley, it's that there's going to be holdouts for every single possible crazy belief out there. If you need to find somebody that has a belief in something, like, you will find it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the best and worst part of humanity, I think. I don't know.
I have no idea how hard I'm trying to not sing the eel song from the Mighty Boosh for copyright purposes. So.
Right. There is that. Yeah. I would love, man, that'd be awesome if we got a caller about somebody saying, no, not only are eels mysterious, they also contain some sort of supernatural power.
Eels are real.
Somebody out there believes that, for sure. Right?
I'm sure, right?
If
either
any
that or
animal
eels
on Earth,
aren't real, they're just underwater drones, right? Underwater drones to watch us.
So you think they're mechanical in nature? I was thinking more so in the lines of, like, maybe they have some sort of supernatural receivers by which they get their electricity.
Oh, no, you're talking about electric eels. Yeah, they might be like there might be, here, I got an idea for you. There's an alien satellite circling the Earth that we haven't detected, and it's beaming the electricity down to the eels.
Yeah, that could be it. I like that idea. I will say this, I was in Boy Scouts. I did, there's a Boy Scout place called Sea Base in Florida that I got the opportunity to go to. And I got scuba diver certified through NAUI. And I did scuba diving out there, and I saw a lot of moray eels. I don't know if you ever seen a moray eel in real life. That is probably one of the scariest sort of monster creatures like that exists in real life that you can go see. Because they don't look like they belong on this planet. They look like they belong from outer space.
To me, they always kind of look like a sock puppet with really big, sharp teeth.
They look like sock puppets, but we were explicitly warned, do not put your fingers next to them because they will eat them off.
Yes.
Right? And it's like, okay, duly noted. And at night, we did some night dives. That's when they actually come out from the rocks. Because in the day, they're just kind of like, they're kind of like chomping around. But that's when they're floating around and stuff. And it's like, okay, like, aliens are real and they exist. They are here in the ocean where we do not belong and we need to leave, So, oh man, I love that. When I was a kid, I was a big, like, Megalodon kid. I loved Megalodon. I loved looking up, like, when YouTube was brand new back in like 2007, I remember looking up like Megalodon videos, and it was always just like some still shot of some Photoshop of some giant sharks and stuff. And I was like, whoa, is this real? This is amazing. Why aren't we learning more about the megalodons?
I remember the first time I saw a megalodon jaw. It was a reproduction, of course, but it was just, I was amazed that, somebody was saying, well, you wouldn't want that thing to eat you. And I was, why? It would just swallow you whole. It wouldn't be over just like that.
Right. I think people have like made this kind of joke before, but I was worried about a lot more things as a kid. Like, why haven't we figured out this Bermuda Triangle situation? Like, I was really worried about that was going to affect my life in some way. I don't know why. Like, I don't know. I'd be taking a plane out there or something.
I remember hearing a comedian mention it, but it was true for me. It was quicksand. I was terrified.
Quicksand's another one. Quicksand, crocodiles, like that kind of stuff. Basically everything Indiana Jones encountered. Kind of worried about that. Booby traps, That's true.
I remember getting caught in mud that went down to my ankles, and I was like, "Oh, I'm caught in quicksand. I'm gonna die."
Yeah, right. Okay, we got a super chat. By the way, we will be reading some super chats from folks who give that. If Crew could put that back on the screen in just a second, I will read it. But thank you to the folks who donate and who give those super chats. Man, I don't know where it went. If the group puts it back on the screen, I will read it again. It went by too fast.
I got it. I want Dan's impersonation of a moth person and go.
A moth person? I don't know.
Great tie, Kelley. Thanks, Josh. That's
you
Josh.
You do have a great tie today.
Thanks,
what's
Josh.
a moth? I guess he goes like, what do moths sound like? They don't make sounds, right? They just go like.
Well, does a moth make sound?
Well, that's what he said. A moth person.
Yeah.
I'm imagining like like the moth man. That's what they mean, right? Yeah, just a. That's so weird. Yeah, that's what but just like really loud. That'd be really scary. A moth person, if you saw like a giant moth. Out of all the cryptids, that I don't know why. I guess because the ability to fly is kind of freaky.
It is,
right?
It is a little
maybe
bit.
Kidnaps you in some way.
It could swoop down. Yeah, do you know the story about the kid that got picked up by the eagle in Illinois? When
No. What?
Yeah, that actually happened, and people are claiming it was like a thunderbird, but it was probably just like a golden eagle or something.
It was thunderbirds.
Like, 3 or 4 years old, and it actually picked him up and carried him about 30 feet before it dropped him.
Wait, you kill him?
No, kid was.
He survived. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, he was fine. I'll send you a link to the story.
Okay. All right. That's awesome. I want thunderbirds to be real. That's another one that'd be like the world would be objectively cooler.
Want to be real. Yeah, that'd be
right.
Cool.
I wouldn't want to like. You could like maybe ride one or something if they're big enough. I'm imagining like a sort of Eagles of Lord of the Rings style.
Yeah, right.
Situation. But a Thunderbird's kind of a nebulous concept, right? Because like I don't know what that means in sorts of scale or dimension. Like, is it just a giant falcon? Is that basically what it is?
Honestly, I think what it really is just a way to make a animal spirit in charge of a storm. So there was never really a thunderbird. It was just a caricature of a bird bringing in the storm.
Okay, that's a way smarter answer than my thing, which is just a giant rideable eagle, which is what I would want, I think, if I was in control of things around here. But while we're shooting the shit here, I think we should bring in our friend Scott Dickey here to talk about.
Oh, you consider him your friend?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd say so. I don't know. Maybe you feel differently, Scott. What's going on?
Today, let's go with that for today. We'll go with that for today. Yeah. It was nice to see you both with this Truth Wanted takeover. I think the last time I saw both of you, I was backing you up on Truth Wanted. So
that's right.
I'm kind of, I'm part of I get to be part of the game today.
That was actually just a few weeks ago, too.
I was going to say, that was like last week.
Yeah.
Well, Scott, what do we got for our prompt?
Let's look at our last week's question was complete the sentence. The rarely talked about fifth horseman of the apocalypse is blank. And here are our top 3 answers. We gathered these, we accumulated all of the votes, and we tallied up all of the responses, and the results have been sitting on a mason jar on the Funk and Wagnall's porch for the last week. And so here they are. Number 3 from Godwin 7. The rarely talked about fifth horseman of the apocalypse is enlightenment. as surely this leads to the end.
Wow. Okay.
Deep thoughts there. Deep thoughts there from Godwin 7. For our number 2 answer, also from Godwin 7, the rarely talked about fifth horseman of the apocalypse, according to Christians, is wokeness.
True. That is the Christian
who would have known
grifter.
that? Who would have thunk that?
Yeah, the Christian grifter thing going on right now. If they say the word wokeness, that is definitely a red flag. For sure. And not the other things are red flags. That should be
it's a red flag in a sea of red flags.
Right. Yeah. It's an extra red flag.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Our number 1 answer, though, from last week was from Phil Honig. The rarely talked about fifth horseman of the apocalypse is malicious incompetence.
Ooh.
I think that is hit the nail right on the head there.
Yeah, seriously.
Yes. Oh my
All
gosh,
right.
yes.
So our question for next week, though, is what's the kind of truth you don't want to hear? What's the kind of truth that you don't want to hear? So what do you guys have to say? Kelley, let's start with you. What kind of truth do you not want to hear?
I'm just going to give you a truthful one, the kind that help you improve yourself.
That's right. Kelley, you're so right about that. Like, whether I was gonna say stepping on the scale, that's the kind of thing you don't want to see, but that is a scary thing about self-improvement is looking at yourself that way.
So Dan, you going with the scale thing for your answer?
I think so.
Okay,
I think so. Yeah.
All right. Well, if any of you think you can top those answers, let's hear them. So add them to the discussion down below. Do not put it in the live chat. We're going to be looking down at the comments section. So the question again is, what kind of truth you don't want to hear? What's the kind of truth you don't want to hear? So we'll give our top 3 best answers next week right here on Talk Heathen.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Scott, for that.
Right. My pleasure.
And we will. Thanks so
Scott.
much.
Well, he was just gone.
I know, he disappeared. The puff of smoke.
I know. I guess the crew doesn't like him as much as we do.
That's what I'm saying. We could have kept him on for just another 5 minutes or so, but the crew was like, "No, get this guy out of here."
I'm feeling spicy today.
You are. See, it's that Talk Heathen. It's that Talk Heathen energy. It kind of brings it out, I think. This is a call-in show. I think we should probably start talking to people here in a second. What do you think?
Sure. This will be fun because I took this person's first call, and now I've taken their last call too.
Yeah. We should definitely get to that. Before we get to the first call, though, we should thank the awesome, amazing, spectacular, stupendous crew that are making Talk Heathen the show that it is today. So maybe if we can get to a crew cam in just a second here and show off a lot of people on board today. A lot of hands being waved. Thanks so much, everybody. More people. Everybody's joining in. Thanks so much, crew. Everybody give a shout out to the crew in the chat for making this show happen. And that being said, let's get to our first caller today. We have Benji calling in from Alabama. Benji, you're live on Talk Heathen. What's going on?
Hey, so I thought I was going to point out the problems where God could do anything because he's God, but I think I might try to make the case for that. That might be a little more interesting. So if you don't mind, what is the problems that y'all have, and I can kind of go from there, that y'all have with the idea that God is God so he can do whatever he wants?
I have to know that God's real first.
That's
right?
It. That's the problem.
Yeah, I think that's it. Because I don't even know if there is a God that's real. I don't know his properties. I don't know what he does, what he can't do or can't do. Right. But I have to even know that there is a God first before I can even get into the minutia of that.
For the sake of argument here, let's just go with the Christian God for the sake of argument. Let's say that the Christian God is will. What then would be the argument against a deity, a God, to do whatever because they are a God? if they have the ability to bend space-time and reality itself, obviously they'd be able to do whatever then at that point.
Yeah.
So
I guess I agree with you. I don't know, Kelley, maybe you have a different take, but it's if he's a God, he's a God. I don't know what I can or can't. I don't know if logic is I can't be he can't logic. Maybe I could say there'd be some things that don't logically make sense, but maybe God is illogical, right? Maybe
Are we
you
talking
know?
about the ability to do anything or the
Yeah.
morality to do it, of doing anything?
Right. That's a key point too, because a lot of times when atheists are criticizing God's like abilities or things he does, it's more so the reasons why than like whether he can or can't. I think that's a good point.
Yeah. Well, I was going to go into the morality side of it too, but I mean, for the sake of argument, let's just say God is infinitely powerful, minus the obvious contradictions, making a watch so heavy that he can't lift it type crap.
Okay.
Limited power, as powerful as logically possible. Okay. A lot of the objections that y'all do bring up, and this has been done by everyone from Matt Dillahunty to a whole bunch of y'all that I've seen on video, is the moral objections that, some of the stuff that God does is wrong because you look at it as wrong, that you recognize in your human perception that it's wrong. But to a God, I mean, let me just take the flood, for example. Like, if a God was able to make you out of nothing, out of dirt or clay or whatever you want to call it, and he flooded the world and destroyed all life to start over, if he's able to start over, then it's kind of irrelevant, isn't it? I mean,
it's not if you care about like people. It's not if you care about like, the well-being of others, right? Because it is doing a harm. Right. You could say whether he's justified in doing it or not is a separate argument, but you can't deny the fact that it is harming people. Right.
Yeah. I mean, do you have family, Benji?
Huh?
Do you have family you care about?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, most.
Okay. Well, would you want to watch them get drowned for no reason of their own? For no, it wasn't their fault they got drowned. They were good people, right?
Right. Yeah. If
So
God like just flooded your family
happen?
right now, you wouldn't have anything to say about it. You'd be like, well, I guess he's God, so whatever. Right.
Do you think that would you think that's acceptable, that people can just kill your family for no reason, or for a reason that has nothing to do with your family?
I wouldn't say that.
Well, that's what we're talking about.
That's what we're talking about. That's what happened, right? If you believe the flood narrative to be literally true, right?
And you look at all the toddlers that were drowned that day, right? No, they didn't do anything wrong. They were just 2-3 years old or younger.
Right.
Well, what I was going with was the flood example, because that's the best one that I can use that, kind of contrast here to the human ways. So if a God is able to create and destroy, I mean, really, if he created stuff, why couldn't he destroy it?
Yeah, you're just saying might makes right. That's all you're saying here.
Wait, I have an answer to that. I have an answer to that.
Go ahead, Kelley.
I created my son. Does that mean I have the right to kill him?
Well, no, because
then. So there's your answer, Benji. You just gave yourself the answer. Why is it all right for God to do it if it's not all right for me to do it?
Because he can just make another one out of nothing. That's why.
But that doesn't.
I could do the same thing. I could go make another kid too.
Yeah.
If God regrets making humanity, which is what the Bible actually says, a lot of people don't realize that, but God regretted making humanity the first time because it screwed up everything, and everything was screwed up, and so he drowned the world.
So God's not perfect.
Yeah. So again, the argument, the onus of the claim is on you, Benji. You have to justify whether this is okay for God to do. Just because God has the ability to do, we recognize that, right? Within the narrative, he obviously can do it because he did it within the narrative, right? The argument isn't, just because he can means that he should, right? Because God can do a lot of things. God could also not kill people. God could also obviously save people through the redemption of, his son, right? So there's other ways those people could have been redeemed, clearly, if Jesus can die for people's sins. But instead, he decided to kill people, right? So the question is, was that a good thing or not, right? The atheist would say no, especially if there's other options that are available to people.
Well, two things. One, what humans consider moral is their opinion, and it's completely irrelevant to a God, any God. Second, I don't believe that Jesus died for sins. I think Jesus was slaughtered by the Romans and the people of Israel or Jerusalem at the time. And I don't think he needed to die anyway, because the whole idea of sacrificial atonement for sins is stupid in the first place.
Okay. So why did God need to kill those people? Why was it okay for him to do that? Just because he can?
When he flooded, are you asking why did he flood the earth?
Yeah, I'm asking why is it okay for him to do that? I understand why he did it. He was pissed, but just because you're pissed doesn't mean you have the right to do anything you want, right? So why was it like, you know, it's never been clear to me why this is suddenly okay for him to murder people and then be like, oh, I'm never going to do this again, right? Why did you do it in the first place if it was so terrible?
God is able to address things too. I mean, that's the reason he did that. He regretted making the human waste the way that he did, and he started from scratch. And in order to start from scratch, you have to destroy what's there to build again. You can't build a building on top of another building.
But he obviously doesn't. Again, we've already he doesn't have to. He's God. You're saying there's no other things he could have done besides killing people?
Yeah, and you can build a city on top of another city. Look at Troy. Troy was like 12 layers of cities built one on top of another. So you're just wrong in that one. And let me say something to you before about another one of the things you said about morals, that we can't that we don't have, that God doesn't have the same morals as human beings. Well, if a God doesn't have good morals, why should he be worshipped? What would be the purpose of worshiping a God that has bad morals?
Yeah.
He's not setting an example for good behavior. He's not, if you worship him, you're not guaranteed that he's not going to just turn around and kill you because he has bad morals.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the morality of a God, I think, is pretty important if you're going to worship it.
Yeah, you're arguing that a human's morality isn't relevant to God. Okay, why is God's morality relevant to me then? Right? It goes both ways.
Well, it's not. His morality is not dependent on you at all. I mean, God could slaughter all of you and not give a damn.
That's what makes it so terrible. I think a morality that doesn't value the like lived experiences of people, or the lived experience of any sentient being for that matter, is a bad morality. It's not good. What's the point of morality then if you can just hurt and harm whoever you want? It doesn't make sense.
Well, I think morals are subjective anyway. There's not an absolute morality. There's no such thing as that.
Well, we're on the same page there.
Every nation in the world has different moralities. Every person has a different morality. It's all subjective. It's opinion. But when it comes to God, something that is timeless and boundless and can be in multiple places and dimensions at once, and is literally, for the sake of argument here, all-powerful, at least logically powerful, and could destroy the world and control the weather and destroy buildings and everything else. Like, if the human waste makes God angry, is it wrong for God to punish the human waste because the human waste isn't doing what God wanted them to do in the first?
Right. But okay, so the God of the universe who could do all these things, who has all this great power and who's beyond everyone else, his best solution was to kill everyone in a flood. How does that make him better than people? Seriously.
Especially when he could have just made humans do whatever he wanted humans to do.
Yeah.
But he didn't want that. That's all.
Because killing everybody was better. Do you understand what our problem is here, Benji?
Yeah.
We are saying it was better to leave people alive and teach them a different way than it is to kill them all. And it seems like that you think that's okay to just kill people instead of re-educating them.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Do you think if God like rounded up particular people he didn't like into gas chambers, do you think that would be okay too? How is that different from flooding the earth and killing millions of people that way?
Well, I'm not. Well, okay. So you're comparing flooding the earth to genocide.
Yes, it is. No, it's literally genocide.
It was genocide.
You need to understand. It was a genocide, right?
By definition, the flood was genocide.
Wait. So let's back up here. So let me ask you this: even a God. Like,
no, let me ask you this. What makes God better than Hitler? Because at least Hitler didn't kill everybody. He only killed a certain group of people. God made no nonsense of it. He was like, I don't care if you're 1 year old or 50 years old, you're going to die the same way. How does that make him better? Seriously.
Are you seriously comparing a god to Hitler, man? Come
Yes.
on.
Yeah, we are.
Yes.
Yeah, we are. And if
Unironically,
you
how
can't take
is he
this-
better?
Yeah.
How in the hell is that a true dichotomy, man? Come
How
on.
in the
Because
hell should
God
I-
killed toddlers and babies. God killed literally everybody, right?
Because God killed a bunch of people and Hitler killed a bunch of people.
Yeah,
that's how
that's
we
the
can make the comparison, Benji. And if you can't understand that, and you're going to sit and laugh at a actual logical comparison, I'm not sure that you're ready for this conversation.
It's not a logical comparison. That's the issue.
You know what, Benji?
Why isn't it?
Because you don't have the ability to understand the logical connection.
You go back in time.
Not make it that there is no logical connection there.
Benji,
Just
you go
because
back in
you
time
can't
and
understand it.
You go back in time, you'd look those 5-year-olds that were about to die in the flood in the eye and say, "This is right. Actually, this is good. God deserves to do this because He's God." You'd say that.
Okay. I'm going to prove a point here. Was Hitler a god? He wasn't.
Why does that matter?
What does that have to do with it?
Because they're not on the same footing. For one,
So if Hitler was God, it would be okay.
Benji,
Wait, hold on. You're
Benji,
saying
stop.
if Hitler was God, it's fine.
Benji, wait.
They killed people. Is that what you're
Benji,
saying?
stop. We're not claiming Hitler was God. We're not claiming that Hitler was on the same level as God.
Yeah.
What we are saying is God killed a bunch of people. Hitler killed a bunch of people. In that respect, they are the same.
Right.
Do you understand that? In this limited circumstance, they are the same. Do you fucking understand that?
That's the only similarity.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a good similarity. Do you understand that? Like, it's not something you want to be similar to.
Well, no, I'm saying, like, the only similarity that you're really pointing out is that they both slaughtered people. I can agree with you.
That was the point.
Yes, that is literally the point we're trying to make.
Wow. Like I said, your inability to understand the connection.
Let him speak. Let him speak. Let's hear this.
So
go ahead.
Hitler, okay, so there's different reasons why that happened, though. Hitler was a narcissist, hated dude.
Okay.
His mother was
so hold on. So if you have good enough reason, it's good enough to kill millions of people. That's what you're saying.
Let's make an example. Does the I forget the phrase exactly. Does the reason outweigh the means, or whatever the hell that phrase is? If you have a situation where a group of people could poison the entire world, is it better for those people to die or everyone to die?
What? Wait, no, the toddlers and the babies that were killed in the flood did not have the capacity to kill millions of people. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and it's better for nobody to die.
Also, Jewish people didn't either? Wait, I'm confused. Who is this even for, what this metaphor is?
Well, no, but I'm saying if there's no option for no one to die, and either way someone would die, is it better for less people to die or more?
No, but that's the thing. Nobody had to die. Why did anybody have to die in the flood narrative? Why couldn't people? Obviously, God has chosen people to be redeemed in other ways. Right? The Jewish people were redeemed for their stuff all the time.
Look at Paul. Look at Paul. He got redeemed by a vision. Why couldn't God just give everybody a vision and redeem everyone instead of killing everybody?
Why did he have to kill everybody?
It wasn't a vision. He went blind. It wasn't a vision. He just went blind.
Okay. And guess what? Paul became one of the most influential Christians in the history of Christianity. So why couldn't that happen
God
with
just
other
make
people?
everybody blind? For a second. You're missing the point here, Benji.
Yeah.
God, let me talk for a minute, Benji. God could have done things to people like he did with Paul, to make them be better. He did not have to kill everyone. We know that God could change people's minds. It's in the Bible, the Bible that you believe in. So if you believe the Bible is correct, you have to know that these minds could have been changed. But instead, God chose to kill them. Instead of saving them, he killed them. Do you understand this, Benji?
Listen, no, I do. So your position is that with sufficient interaction that anyone's mind can be changed. Is that what you're saying?
If you're a god,
If you're
sure.
a god, why not? What is
It's
stopping
God.
you?
You're a god, Benji. Yes, he could change people's minds. He has. I just gave you the most common example, well-known example with the Saul Paul.
Paul participated in the murders of Christians, if you recall. It's recalled that he took the coats of those who stoned the Christians to death, right? So he wasn't exactly innocent himself.
Well, no one was back then, really. I mean, but also I want to bring up an interesting point.
Was Jesus?
Of course, you want to bring up something else instead of actually addressing literally anything that we're talking about.
Adding on to something here, you said with sufficient interaction from a god, it would change anyone's mind. But that was part of the problem. You know, the reason that God stepped away in the first place after the flood is because the whole reason that the world got that way was because he intervened too much.
Benji, can I stop you for 1 second? I want you to think about what you're doing. You realize that you are making excuses for the murder of millions of people, right? That's what you're doing. You are sitting here telling us why it was okay to murder millions of people. You realize that, right?
The population wasn't millions of people.
No, Benji, wait, stop.
Even if it
I
wasn't
asked you a
millions of
yes or no
people,
question.
which
You
it was,
realize you
but-
are making excuses for the murder of millions of people right now, right?
I realize that that's what it seems like to some people listening.
Yes,
But it's
definitely.
Yeah, but you can't admit it to yourself that that's what you're doing, can you?
I understand that I'm explaining the reasons why that happened. It doesn't mean I agree with it, but I do think that God is God. So I mean,
Benji, if you don't agree with it,
you're basically saying might makes right, so it doesn't matter what people think. So morality is just whatever God says he wants it to be. That's not an objective system of morality. In fact, that's the most subjective you could possibly be.
And Benji, if you don't agree with it, why are you defending it?
Yeah.
Huh?
If you don't agree with it, why are you defending it?
Well, I'm trying to explain, number one, why it happened, which the Bible says why it happened. Number two, that your morality as a human being is completely irrelevant to any God, not even just Christian God, Elohim, or any.
But apparently,
irrelevant.
That didn't address my question.
Yeah.
But
I asked you if you didn't believe it, why are you defending it?
Right?
What is it within your morality that compels you to defend this murder of millions of people if you don't agree with it?
Well, no, what I'm saying is with your morality, the way that you look at stuff, your perception as a human.
I'm not asking. I didn't ask you about my morality. I asked you about yours.
My morality.
Yeah.
Yes.
Simple question. Was it a good thing that God did this? Yes or no?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Well, God flooding the earth, right? I'm assuming you believe that this was an event that happened in history. Was this a good thing that God did? Yes or no?
At the time that, well, to God, yes. To the humans, no.
What do you think, Benji?
Yeah, what do you think?
What I think is that it might have been necessary at the time.
Benji, it's like a yes or no. You agree with it? Yes or no? Do you agree with it? Yes or no?
Well, the way society.
Yes or no, Benji?
I think it might have.
Yes or no, Benji?
You're getting Kelley spicy here.
I said no.
All right then. So why are you trying to explain to us that it was all right?
Yeah.
Because y'all always have an objection to stuff God does, but you don't take into account that he is a God. He's not a.
Oh, that's right. Oh, okay. God's God, so that means killing millions of people is okay.
So you agree that it was okay because he's God
somehow? Yeah.
I didn't say that. I didn't say God's God, so he can do whatever. I didn't mean it that way.
So why do you care? So
what
why
do you mean?
care?
Hold on. Wait. What do you mean?
Go ahead.
God, by definition, is not a human being. Can you make stuff out of nothing? Can you make stuff?
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter that God's not a human being. That's fine. Whatever. Why does that mean he can do whatever he wants? Why does that make him morally justified?
Well, I mean, let me ask you this: is there a point to objecting to it if there's nothing you can do about it?
Okay, that's not the question, though. Why does that make God morally justified?
Right. Why won't you answer that? I mean, you're
because we're still waiting for you to answer our question.
First of all, I don't. You need to understand. I don't believe in God. Okay, this doesn't matter to me. We're just talking about something that doesn't exist. But to the Christian, right? The Christian does believe that God exists and that God has done things in history. So if that's true, then he is subject to human judgment. Whether or not human judgment is, meaningful in any sense, that's another story. But if you do believe in a thing called objective morality, then you do believe in the standards, right? And God can either meet those standards or not meet those standards. And I would argue that even if you believe in objective morality, God has no real bearing on or accountability for his own actions. He doesn't meet that standard. He doesn't meet any meaningful standard of objective morality that we could possibly understand. And so the whole project of God defining morality just kind of fails because it just falls down to he can do whatever he wants, which isn't objective.
So for starters, well, I don't believe in objective morality at all. I don't even think there is such a thing.
Okay.
What I was making a point to is I understand you don't believe in God, and that's fine. The thing that I was saying is that, and I was trying to make this point, is that God is not a human being. You were little, and you
know this. We've established this.
We know that. We agreed to that. We're fine with that. You don't have to make that point again.
He is subject to human judgment or human morals, is what you said. You said that he's subject to human morals.
Well, he's going to be judged either way, but he doesn't even meet objective morality. That's my point as well. There's nothing objective about his actions here that makes reasonable sense.
Subjective. I believe in subjective morality. I don't believe in.
That's fine, but God still did a thing. Okay, he still killed lots of people. The question we are debating right now is whether or not that was justified in any sense of morality, right? Like in any, whether it's a local subjective sense or an objective sense, it's not justified. That's the point.
Well, I mean, it is justified because he had a reason for doing it.
So you are
just because you have a reason to do something doesn't make something justified.
If it's a good reason, it does. I mean,
you know what? Why?
What is the good reason?
What was the good reason?
Well, I mean, it says it in Genesis that the earth was, corrupted and everything else. I mean,
so why couldn't he just uncorrupt it?
Yeah.
Why couldn't he just uncorrupt it? Like we just went in a circle, Benji.
Yes.
Why couldn't he just given him the Paul Saul revelation and corrected it?
Yeah. And there's other people that have been redeemed.
You can't have good without evil.
It made no sense in any way, shape, or form as an answer to my question.
Yeah, that doesn't answer anything.
Yes, it does.
No, Benji, I'm going to ask again, and I'll ask real slow, okay? Benji, listen to me. Why did God have to kill people instead of changing their minds or their personality like we know that he can, as he did with Saul? Why did he have to kill everyone instead? That's my question.
Well, because he did not want everyone to just be subservient to him all the time and not have free will.
They didn't have to be. They could.
How can they express their free will if they're dead, Benji? Explain that one to me.
Yeah, how do you do that?
How does that work? Oh, wait. Oh, man, I can't brainwash these people. They need to express their free will. Let's just kill them instead. Yeah, that makes sense. Tell me about that one, Benji.
Well, I mean, you have a soul. I know you don't believe it, but people do have souls.
Okay. How are they going to express their free will if they have no body in which to express it because it's floating in a giant body of water?
Well, actually, I would say that, I believe in limbo and stuff anyway, but let's just say the example of heaven. If
Okay.
you die and your soul goes to heaven, you still have a soul. You can still move around, so you still have free will. It's not like when you die and go to heaven, you can't damn move. You got to go through the gates. I mean,
Okay, so they can express their free will in heaven. It's what you're saying.
well, I
Listen,
mean,
when I killed my wife, I was letting her express her free will in heaven. That was it. Judge, please. I wasn't. Listen, she was making me mad, so I had a reason to kill her, right, Judge? And so I wasn't violating her free will. She just gets to express it in heaven. Do you think that would hold up a court of law?
Wasn't that defense kind of used with a mother and her children?
I don't know, probably.
That drowned her children. She wanted them to go to heaven so they'd have a better life.
When
I mean, that's the same thing, right?
Yeah, that's literally the same thing.
There was a woman who drowned 3 of her children because she thought they would go to heaven and have a better life. So isn't that basically, was that okay for her to do that? Since it was basically the same thing God did, right?
I think that the human race has a different mindset than
Do you think it was all right for her to do that since God did it? I mean, that was God showing her that was moral and good. So
right.
She's a human, he's a God. There's a difference.
Dude, that's not what I asked, Benji. I'm asking what if you think it was moral for the woman to do that when she learned that moral from God.
I think that if a God destroys the world, that there's a good reason behind it.
That didn't answer my question,
but the woman
Benji. You're not
Kelley's,
answering.
you are really not listening, because Kelley is saying the woman has a reason, and in fact, it is the same reason that you're saying that God has, which is that, oh, these children get to go to heaven, and you're saying, oh, well, these people can still express their free will in heaven, right? So she's acting on the same reasons as God, but you're saying that the woman is wrong, but God is still right. Why?
No, the reason I gave for God forming the earth is that the earth was corrupt and he had to start over. That was what I.
Yeah, well, this woman thought the same thing.
You're saying it's justified because he didn't want to act on their free will or whatever.
This woman had the same idea. She thought the world was so corrupt it was gonna be a bother it was gonna hurt her children, be a burden on them. So she sent them to heaven instead. She used the same excuse that God did here, Benji.
Yeah.
The same one.
How old was the children?
They were like between 2 and 4.
How old was the children?
Yeah, they were.
How the fuck does that matter?
They were all 4 and under. They were.
Please explain to me why the age of the child matters in the murder of them.
Yeah, it all depends on how you define a baby.
No, I'm saying, so if the children understood what was happening, and that they was going to die, and they went along with it, then how?
None of the people in the flood went along with it. Why does that make it? You're bringing shit into it, Benji.
There is no world.
You are trying, Benji. You are trying so hard. You're trying so hard to say that your God wasn't wrong for killing children.
Yeah.
And it's hurting you. It's hurting your brain trying to think of a way that you could not say that.
There's no world in which the children are old enough to understand the situation in order for this to make this okay. All right. So. All right, I think we need to let you go. We have other callers that we want to talk to, and I think are going to listen to us a little bit better. But before we go, do you have anything else you want to tell us? Nope. Okay, I don't hear anything. I think I don't know. Well, he says he's online. I'm dropping you out anyway. What a dumb conversation. Jesus. Oh man. Yeah. Josh.
That would be great on a dodgeball team, huh?
Yeah, you seriously. So you know what's great is that Christians like Benji will say, we don't understand God's morality. Like God just works on a different thing, and we can't judge him by our standards. But really, I don't understand human morality, to be honest with you, sometimes, because we can justify the most terrible, awful bullshit if we truly think it's for a right and justice. A right and just cause, which is what Christians do when they talk about the flood as a real sort of historical event. Thankfully, it's not real. right?
I thought
Like
you were going
there's
to go somewhere else with that. Honestly, what I was thinking here was Benji telling us we couldn't understand God's morality, and then
yeah.
trying to explain it to us.
Yeah. I don't know if Benji understands God's morality.
Well,
to be
yeah,
honest.
humans can't understand. That's what he was saying. Humans can't
Yeah.
understand God's morality, but here I'm going to teach you what it is, even though
Right.
you're a human and you supposedly can't understand it either. So
Humans can't understand it. All we know is that it's just somehow we know that, I guess. Yeah. But again, a lot of Christians get wrapped up in this because the point is not the criticism of God's morality. That honestly, at the end of the day, doesn't actually matter. The point is whether God is real or not, right? We can debate the morality of it all day, but if we don't even think God is real, it's really pointless to atheists. So Christians get really tripped up on like this whole conversation. It's more entertaining for us, to be honest with you, because obviously it's not just in any real concept of the word, but you know, it is what it is. So anyway, that was fun. What a time. Hey, folks, if you want to become a channel member, you should do that. Click the button below the video. You get custom chat, emotes, early access to clips and shorts, and you help perpetuate the mission of Talk Heathen and the Atheist Community of Austin. Another way to support us is by sending super chats. If you get them in, we'll read as many as you can. In fact, I think we got one earlier, if I'm not mistaken.
we did.
I don't see it on the notes, but if crew can bring that up on screen, there it is. $5 from Ann Johnson. Thanks so much. That says, thank the great donut in the sky for Talk Heathen. And yeah, sure. That's cool. You know, I thank the crew for Talk Heathen personally. They put in a lot of work, maybe more than some donuts in the sky do. I think that was the only super chat. I don't think we had any more. I don't see any on our notes here. If not, then you can put them on the screen right now.
That was the only one I noticed going by. So
yeah, and we'll read them. Another thing I want to say, if I can scroll back to the place where I was at, is to say, hey, like and subscribe if you're enjoying these conversations, and enabling notifications. Comment below on your favorite calls or callers, and you know, be sure to respond to that prompt that we have this week. And lastly, we do have merchandise as well. Tiny.cc/merch HCA for t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, hats, pint glasses, mugs, just everything you can think of. Look at that, and that black and red, and also a little bit of white in there too. Those colors, baby. That's it. Talk Heathen, you already know. That being said, I think we can get back to the next caller and see what's going on. We have Lise calling in from Canada. Lise, you are live on Talk Heathen. What's going on?
Hi there. I'm just to start off. I'm an atheist, but I was wanting to ask you a question. Just your thoughts on something when it comes to religion. My degree is in religious studies, and I took this class specifically about cults and new emerging religions. And when I looked at the behaviors of religiosity and cults, and then also, you know, and I looked at more established long-term religions like Islam or say Christianity, it's not much different. And I was wondering if your thoughts were, do you think that sometimes, I wanted to ask, do you think sometimes that, like I personally believe that every religion is a cult, but some are just more socially accepted.
Okay.
I'm wondering what your thoughts are on like how people are so quick to put labels on newer religions like Scientology or say Mormonism even. You know, it's easy to say, oh, that's a cult. But when we look at some of the similar patterns that are in cults that are also practiced in religion, you know, it doesn't really make sense to be so dismissive of something just because it's not as old and not as established. Yeah,
no, I think this is a pretty common criticism, and I do agree with it to some degree, right? Christian scholars, and not just Christian scholars, but you know, secular scholars, all when talking about early Christianity, I mean, they do describe early Christianity as a cult, and that's not just their academic opinion. They're also using the historical sources of other people contemporary with early Christianity at the time. They also called Christianity a cult because it was a small group of people following at the time seen as esoteric group of teachings that were very different from the culture around them in many particular ways. In some ways they were similar, but in many ways different. So yeah, Christianity, at least at the beginning, definitely was a cult. If we saw Christianity today, if you saw Jesus walking around with 12 dudes in the desert saying he was the Son of God, none of us would bat an eye saying that that's a cult. But because we have all these established ideas about Christianity and its history, we don't really see it that way. But when they're also describing it as a cult, they're trying to use it in a scholarly term. They're not necessarily associating it with the pejoratives, although the pejorative term kind of still applies with early Christianity and still kind of does today. I mean, Christianity definitely enables people to do things that they otherwise normally wouldn't do. We just talked to Benji, who just called previously, who said God was right in killing millions of people. He wouldn't say that it's millions, but millions of people in a flood because he's God. That's not something that in a vacuum, any of us would probably ever say. But Christianity kind of tells us that this is okay. And so, we started to defend it. But what about people's workplaces? You could say that you do things for work, or you do things, you talk to customers in a way that you normally wouldn't because you're getting paid to do it. Is that a cult because you're being enabled in a way? Like a cult as a word sort of gets lost a little bit in its potency with how we describe stuff. So I'm very sensitive to the word. I try not to use it too often, although I will use it on occasion to describe things. It's because of those pejoratives and because of the sort of differences in how people use it, where I don't always employ it. But is Christianity a cult? Certainly early Christianity was. Whether you want to describe broad swaths of Christianity today, I mean, Christianity is extremely wide in its beliefs and its practices. So it becomes much harder to defend it as a useful term in that sense. But that's my, I don't know, pontification on it. What do you think, Kelley?
Yeah, I was thinking to myself that it depends a lot on what kind of definition you're using for a cult. And there's the bite model, which of course I'm sure if you're a scholar of this, you know what that is. But in the back of my head, and like I'm not a sociologist, a psychologist, an anthropologist, anything like that. But in the back of my head, I always thought of a cult as being over excessive worship that is controlling your everyday life and behaviors. Right. So when I look at, like, say, a person who's going to the Lutheran church on Sunday and might even be living by some of those ideals or living by some of the ideals they learn in church on Sunday, I don't see them as a cult follower, because it's not over excessive and they're not letting the church run their entire life. So to me, that's not a cult. And now, like I said, I'm not qualified to make that kind of a judgment. That's just the way it clicks in my head. The definition does. So I don't look at it as a cult.
You see cults more as like a fanaticism kind of thing, as opposed to.
Yeah, you know what? Like somebody in the Joker's Wild just mentioned in the chat that you could call neo-Nazis a cult. And yeah, I can kind of agree with that. That's more controlling of the members' lives and stuff. So
There are political ideologies that are cult. It's still an ideology.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right, exactly.
For politics too.
Yeah.
Okay. That's just, I wanted to ask, like, kind of have, like, I do agree with your viewpoints. And I think that a lot of Christians, a lot of people don't take into account that the early Christians were not really called Christians. They were seen as a cult. Like, they were seen as radical, fringe Jewish people who were a danger to traditional mainstream Judaism in the 1st and 2nd century. Which is why they were under persecution. I think it's. I just think it's interesting. The whole talk about how religion is structured and all that, and I just wanted to know your opinion. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's our takes. You know, like I think cult is such an overused sort of word. It becomes hard to really nail down exactly what we mean by it. So personally, I try not to employ it as much. I've certainly said it before in descriptions of things on the show. But to be clear, it's not always useful in conversation because it does turn people off, right? Because people do associate cults with like fanaticism, like Kelley is saying. So if I was to talk to Christians, I don't say, hey, you're a cult member. Did you know this? You know, right? That's not really useful for me. But if we can point out that, hey, this idea of what we have of cults isn't too far off sometimes from organized religion and other sorts of organized practices as well, I think maybe that can open some doors in conversations with people, you know, if that's your goal. But otherwise, yeah, that's it. That's what I got. You got anything else for us, Lise?
Hey, I'd be interested in hearing, because since you're studying it,
Yeah, you're the
I'd
one
be
with the
more than
degree.
interested in hearing your take. So
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not studying it anymore. I finished my degree, but
Yeah.
a number of years ago. But it I kind of agree with you. I think that I think all religions are technically cults, but not just in the way of practice and formation, but I think some just like by definition, but I wouldn't say, you know, that all Christian sects are cultish. I would probably agree there has to be a level of fanaticism involved, of course, before we're quick to label. But I was just thinking along that it's just very interesting how there's a lot of similarities between ideologies that we've grounded as worthy, justifiable religions and new emerging movements that people who are like, I don't know, say Anglican or Catholic, they'd be like, oh, that's a cult. But it's like, do you know what I mean? Like, it just sounds weird to hear someone say that just because they have a religion that's been grandfathered in as normal and doesn't, you know, the concept that you can't prove either ideology is not separate from each other. Like,
I agree. The dominant power groups, sorry to interrupt you. I was just going to point out that the dominant groups in a society do determine what is radical or not, right? When you hear about look at the history of Japan, and you'll see the very violent sort of defense they had against Christians coming in. They saw them as radicals affecting their traditional cultures and values in society. And so, you know, they didn't have the most positive look towards missionaries, right? But America is by and large a very Christian country. And so those that defy the norms from Christian values get seen as radical or cult-like in some ways. So yeah, the dominant forces in any society are going to determine what is fringe and what isn't. So I think that's something worth pointing out. But Lise, we'll go ahead and let you go today. Thanks so much.
Wait, before we let Lise go.
Oh, okay. Kelley's
Richard,
got something.
our co-host, regular host of the show and producer of the show, Richard Gilliver, would love to have you call back when he's on the show because he wants to talk shop with you. This is the kind of thing he studies, that he's studying as well.
That's right.
So he would love to have a conversation with you and implores you to call back when he's on.
What'd you have, Lise?
All right. Have a good Sunday.
Oh, did you say you had one more thing you want to tell us?
Oh, yes. I was going to say, I just wanted to add on, just, you know, as someone watching from Canada, like when we were talking about political ideologies, even just now, and, you know, I guess the thing is that I have noticed some cult-like behavior with the whole mega movement, and when I say that, it's cult-ish like behavior, I should say. And the reason for that is a lot of his supporters, you know, hardcore supporters, they'll believe anything he says, and even when shown contrary evidence, say, no, here's the proof that, you know, he was wrong about that, or there's the proof that He's just bullshitting you. That's fake news. That's not real. That's just planted by the Democrats. Do you know what I mean? Like it does. Like to me, a significant, a dangerous cult is when they have followers that no matter what evidence you show them, they're just going to keep basically worshiping. Like, what is he? He's
sort of like Benji on our last call. Right?
Yeah.
Benji on our last call showing how killing people was wrong, but it just couldn't register in his head, you know?
Yeah, I agree. It is a dangerous idea to say that anyone is without fault and without criticism and should be defended at all costs, right? That's definitely something of value that we don't agree with on this particular program. But our commentary on current political events is limited by the fact that we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So I think I'll leave it at that. But Lise, I do want to say thanks for that extra commentary. Thanks for everybody. Thanks for you for calling in. And
Awesome
I hope
call.
to hear from you again sometime. Like you said, talking to Richard would be a great conversation there, I think.
I really enjoyed your call, Lise.
Yeah, for sure. We did have some super chats we should read. If Crew could get those on screen, that would be fantastic. I saw a couple fly up. One is from Josh L, who said, just another agnostic atheist doing his moral and ethical duty, getting $5. Thanks so much, Josh.
Thanks
so much for donating. That is great. It's much appreciated. Like we said, nonprofit organization that runs this shabab.
I like your ethics and morality over there.
Yeah. That's it. Hey, if that's your ethics, it's a moral obligation. I don't think the ACA is going to tell you no. I don't know. I don't speak for the ACA formally. I'm just saying no. I probably wouldn't. But anyway, I think we had another super chat as well from Josh L. Gave $2 and said placeholder for at pontifically Dan, the upgraded Dan. Using pontifically as an adjective is interesting. Wouldn't it be like pontific Dan? But then you don't get the Lee part. So I get that. Pontifical Dan. There we go. That's a good one. That's me when I won't shut up. Yeah, pontifical Dan. That's what that. If I'm talking for too long, Crew can just change my name to pontifical Dan at the bottom of the screen there, and I think that'd be a good bit. Certainly better than subjectively Don. Can we retire subjectively Don already? That's been going on for, gosh, how long now? Oh man, too long. Too long. No, just kidding. I don't really mind. It is. It's funny either way. Real quickly before we keep moving on, I have to do some top 5 patron announcements. Actually, I'm saying me, but Kelley, you should do the top 5 patrons. I think
I should do the top 5 patrons.
Yeah. Do you have that open in front of you? Can you
I have the document open, but I'm not seeing.
It's at the bottom of the page there.
Oh, okay. Now I found it.
Awesome.
So yeah, I could do that now that I know what I'm doing.
Great.
So the top 5 patrons are number 1, all singularity. I love that name. 2, Dingleberry Jackson, a perennial favorite name around here. 3, Kalevi Helvetti. 4, J.A. Carlton. That's a new one for me. 5, Muldred D. Malcontent. I love that one. And an honorable mention to Jessica Kopish. Don't hate me for mispronouncing your name. Just deal with it and thank you.
Just deal with it.
Deal
That's
with
a great
it and
thing to
take the
tell
thank
people.
you from me.
Yeah. Thank you to everyone who gives to us on Patreon. If you want to have your name read on the air, you can consider supporting us at tiny.cc/Patreon. TH for that. And so with that out of the way, I think we should get to our next call. This is a fascinating one. Our call screener says our caller is talking about how Scientology isn't that bad and is very misunderstood. We have Janice calling in from New York. Janice, you're live on Talk Heathen. Very curious about this one.
Oh my God. Hello. Thank you for taking my call. I'm so excited to be talking to you. I've been watching the show all morning. The other caller was talking about cults and whether or not Christianity is a cult. And it got me thinking. I'm a Scientologist, And Scientology is incredibly misunderstood. Like every time you talk about cults, people are like, Scientology, Tom Cruise, yada yada yada, Scientology. And like honestly, I feel like it is my job to help people understand what Scientology is really about, and like all the positive things that Scientology could kind of do for people, and like how it's not really a cult. So I just kind of consider this like kind of my calling a little bit, I guess.
Okay. I'm going to be honest with you here. I'm not trusting the vibes right now. I think that you have the potential to be a troll caller, because not because of anything other than the fact that this is a pretty radical claim that you're making here. And so I'm on high alert. Okay. So I will let you make your case. And we're happy to discuss it with you. But I'm just letting you know my signal's going off here. Kelley, your signal's going off here.
I don't want to say my signal's going off. I'm a little cautious, but just a little, and I'm willing to hear what they have to say. So,
all right, Janice, go ahead.
Oh my God, no, I don't listen. I don't blame you one bit. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I feel like
right, yeah,
because like like if you were like LDS and you were like, give me a minute, I'd be like, no, thank you. LDS is a cult. But what I'm trying to help people understand is Scientology. Like, there's a lot of discourse about Scientology, right? People are like, it's crazy. They believe that there's like multiple levels, and that if you donate more money, blah, 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 it's like a Hollywood scam. But Scientology has honestly saved my life. Like, I'm not even going to lie to you. Scientology changed my life for the more positive. And I grew up Catholic. Like, this isn't my first religious experience. But well, you guys have any questions? I don't know. I've never done this before.
Hey.
Oh, that's fine. I'll be honest, over the years I've done this show, I've only talked to a handful of Scientologist callers. Scientologists are not super willing to talk to us, I think, for a number of reasons. But also, Scientologists are a pretty small segment of the population. I'll give you my take on Scientology, and you tell me what you think about this, and maybe we can start with that. I think Scientology is a man-made religion. I think Scientology is basically entirely on the whims and writings of L. Ron Hubbard, who had committed numerous scandals within his lifetime, both personal and affecting large amounts of people outside of his personal life. I think he's been shown on a number of occasions to have lied about many things. I think he had issues of sexual misconduct. I think he's had a pretty rough history, and also was known to have not the best character for those who have spoken personally about his life as well. So I think everything that has come from Scientology has sort of been rooted in a really person who I would call bad, right? I don't think L. Ron Hubbard is a good guy. So it kind of leads me to think that the rest of the religion doesn't have much to teach me or anything about life, or really doesn't give me any pause into thinking that it's true. It seems to have a very traceable source that we can look at. So that's my thoughts on Scientology. What do you think of that?
I mean, you know what? I think you converted me. I think you did it. I don't think I'm a Scientologist anymore, because you're right. Nobody's found Shelley Miscavige either. I've got a lot to think about. That was a good point.
Okay, wait. Again, the troll vibes are going off here, because it's very rare that anybody says I make a single point and anybody is an instant deconvert. So tell me more about what you're thinking here, because I'm having a little bit of trouble. So now you're sort of disavowing Scientology entirely live on the air?
I'm going to be honest. They had really good coupons the first time that I stopped by the office.
Okay.
They did. They had really good coupons.
Yeah. This is unfortunate, Janice. I wish you were a real caller. Clearly you're not. You're not being sincere with us right now. So I'm going to go ahead and let you go. But
that sucks.
I hope you had a good laugh and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. So that's it. Yeah, it's kind of obvious from the beginning, I think.
I was thinking that it sucks that somebody spent that much time of their life to just do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously
it wasn't even a good fake call.
No, you can't. First of all, you can't you can't call somebody out for the way they sound just on the air, right? But now in retrospect, it's easy to see it was a little bit of put on with a voice and accent, right? But you know, I don't know what the point of a call like that is, because if a Scientologist did call in, I would be interested in hearing why they believe what they believe. Like I said, you and I think you've talked to them too, right? I think you were on the call with me that time. That it's only happened like twice on Truth Wanted, and both interactions were very different from each other. One was very serious with us about it. The other one was a bit more thoughtful from what I recall. But yeah, it's not really something that a Scientologist would really do too often. So very disappointed. Thought we'd have a good conversation, but you know, this call-in show, whatever. We move on. Let's go to our next caller here. We have interesting claims here. Let's talk to Gio, who wants to talk to us from the U.S. Gio, you are live on Talk Heathen. What's up? Hello, Gio. Can you hear us? Oh, hang on. I don't think I had him in right. let me try that again. Gio, I just put you in the queue in our thing now. Sorry, technical issue there. Gio, can you hear us?
Yes, I hear you.
There we go. Okay, that was on me. Sorry about that, Gio. How are you doing today? What do you want to talk to us about?
Well, I want to talk about near-death experience at NDE and just how that itself has become, for most religious people, even agnostic people, like the last vine, the last unknown, realm that keeps people from even considering being atheists, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say myself, I have been a born and raised Catholic. I have basically attended religion classes where taught the Bible, so many masses I could literally recite them by heart. Okay, so not like basically I was basically an atheist. So I honestly believe anyone who is an atheist has never.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. If you could just speak up just a little bit more, or get a little bit closer to your microphone or your phone, that'd be great. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry. I'm using an earpod. Yeah. So honestly,
gotcha.
Don't be sorry. Just help.
Yeah. We're good. Go ahead.
Yeah. Can you hear me a little better? Yeah.
Yes.
It's much
thank
better.
You. Please go ahead.
Much better. Thanks.
So I honestly believe that no anyone who says they're an atheist, you cannot be a true atheist unless you have honestly been theist or been deeply rooted in religion to understand what you're walking away from.
I have one big question to start off with, if we can start. How are you defining atheist?
I would say there's different levels, right? They're basically called agnostic atheists, right? And I've seen something where they said there's no possibility to be a true atheist, completely 100%.
That's what I'm wondering. What is a true atheist?
Yeah,
complete disbelief in any God, or are there any afterlife or anything like that? It's something that I personally took many, many years to actually come to that conclusion. And the reason why is because I was forced to do this, because I myself personally had a near-death experience, okay? I actually experienced what people would basically normally become the most incredibly religious person in the world, and I had to basically research this. I needed to find out. I mean, there was going to become the most advocate for religion or my religion, or basically become atheist. There's no way either or.
So just to summarize, so you do describe yourself as an atheist now, but you did have a near-death experience that could have made you religious, but decidedly has not made you religious. Am I picking up what you're putting down here?
Yeah. But I have to basically tell you, understand what got me there, right? Okay. I just want to know that I don't want to be able to say I'm an atheist and and is basically is BS debunk. No, I want you to understand the background of who I am, where I came from, and what happened to me that made me force myself to confront this reality of what this is, or what I went through. Because what I went through, I can honestly say, and it brings me to tears sometimes, that it was the most beautiful experience I ever had. I mean, I felt a euphoria that I can't describe to this day, and I could not explain it. I mean, the best analogy I can think of is like, here's an analogy, okay? If let's say warmth, you're neither hot or cold, if you feel okay. Let's say heat is pain. Let's say colder is feeling good, right? The way I felt was that it was so cold, it burned. When I touched that light, when I touched that orb, whatever it was, I actually had to pull myself away from it. It felt so good. I'm like,
yeah,
unbelievable.
Well, Gio, sorry to interrupt you, because
yeah,
for the show here, right? I just want to, kind of keep things moving. But I think what it sounds like is that you had a really, personal experience, and I think you're right. I think this is sort of a sort of last frontier for a lot of Christians, because we do know a lot more about science. We know more about the world today than we have at any other point in history, right? And so the more that we understand the world, the more we're able to describe it using naturalist terms and understanding these sort of natural processes. And if we we don't completely understand near-death experiences, but we certainly know more now than we have before, right? But there's still a lot of people that hold on to these experiences. I mean, they even made that movie, right? Like Heaven is for Real, right? And there's other ones that are like it, where people talk about these experiences and why they are used as the basis for people's religious beliefs. Sometimes it's not even just Christianity. Sometimes it's some other spiritual ideas, but you get the point, because they are so subjective and they are so personal and they are so, people who really have them do speak to this conviction. So obviously this was an experience that had some conviction for you. But I guess at this point, I'm curious to know, you obviously had this conviction, but you don't anymore. So what's the reason for that?
Well, the reason for this was me trying to search to find truth, trying to understand what I experienced, because this was so compelling, so real. I mean, it basically, again, just talking about it brings me to tears, So I'm trying not to talk about it because I don't want to start crying. But anyway,
sure.
I try not to think about it anymore, because it basically, it's a very emotional thing that I went through, and it's so real that anyway. So what, and then I'll explain to you why I become an atheist, because through my research, I have found things online and actually researched more. It's available. I have it available on YouTube, actually. A lot of my atheist journey is credited for some people like Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's a very intelligent man. He speaks things very well. And a lot of things he says, is very compelling, right? So one of the things he mentioned, I'll say, was in a video where he said, hey, people could say that, hey, they had the near-death experiences, that they floated in the room, and okay, they saw these things. They see up top of up there what's going on. Below, they see their body. I'm like, hey, how about we do this? We take a number and put it on their chest, and let's say, hey, what number were we showing while you were out? Okay, tell us what that number was. I mean, he makes a valid point, right? Have there ever been anything like that? Well, there actually was something like that. It's called, it's called the Aware Project, Aware Study, head by someone named Sam Parnia. If you Google it, search it, you'll see it. And actually, what's strange is that's very small number of hits. I think honestly, that even YouTube has probably even lowered the algorithm to not find.
I'm sorry. I think I'm gonna be honest with you. Well, I think we're getting a little off track here, and we're getting towards the tail end of the show, and I want to try to get at least one more caller in. So I do want to try to put a bow on this call if we can. So I appreciate you sharing your experience with us, and obviously this is a very intense, sort of personal, meaningful experience for you. And I'm really glad that you decided to show truth as priority in this, right? Because there's a lot of people that take these experiences and say, well, I can rest on my God belief now, right? Because I had this and that was enough for me. But it sounds like it wasn't the only thing for you. It sounds like you had to do a little bit more work in order to figure out what was going on. So kudos to you for doing that. Was there anything else you wanted to say before we wrap things up? Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah. So basically, aware study. People should look into that. And the second thing is called GLOC, which is basically from Air Force pilots that have experienced the exact same thing as people in near-death experiences, the whole tunnel vision and everything. I mean, they could literally they mistakenly even, again, they stumbled upon discovery and nobody's talking about it. Okay. So I just want people to understand, Google GLOC and aware study. It will basically change your life in actually seeing what that near-death experience is just nothing more. And I'll use the term, it's the last dream before you die. It's basically a spike in brain activity, and the study basically has debunked people floating in the air. So just saying, people should look into that. Aware
Thanks,
study
Gio.
at GLOC, G-LLC. Yeah.
Thanks,
Cool.
Gio. We appreciate it. You have a great rest of your Sunday. And thanks for calling in about this. Really.
I'll check that out too.
Yeah. Normally when people say, hey, Google this at the end of the show, it's usually something I'm not, usually something I'm at odds with. This isn't something I'm at odds with, right? Yeah, it sounds like it's more up my alley, but not to be biased, I haven't actually seen this thing. Maybe it's bunk. I don't know. I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt here because it seems to have called it. I think Kelley, there's somebody that's in our screening room right now that you really wanted to talk to, and so I want to talk to the current caller that's in our queue right now.
Yes, let's talk to that caller, because I know
we can squeeze two in. Maybe if Crew's cool with that, we can squeeze two in at the end. So we don't have a whole lot of time. Real quick, let me do some super chats real quick. I saw one from Ann Johnson who gave $2. Thanks so much, Ann Johnson, for another $2. I don't think there was a message attached for that. And if there is another message, let me know now, Crew, and I can put it on the screen there because I'm not seeing it in the notes, but I will. Yeah, there's that $2. If there, another one here from Josh L, who said gave $2 and says yellow card for Paul in the comments, flagrant puns. Thanks so much for commenting on that. And with that, okay, let's get to our next call here and see if we can squeeze two more because we are running out of time. We got the Deepest Hell calling in from Oregon. The Deepest Hell. You are live on Talk Heathen. What did you want to talk to us about today?
Hi, Troy.
Hey guys. Hey, how are you guys doing today?
Good.
I got a little topic I wanted to just touch base with you guys on and just maybe get your impression. I have kind of looked into epistemology from a physiologic standpoint. So I myself am a physician. There's a little bit of background. But what I've found is that if you're going to make realistic decisions, healthy decisions, sound epistemology, you have to have a certain internal physiology. And so I'm just looking for ways to promote what I would call parasympathetic physiology, the cool, calm, comfortable type of physiology where you have access to your faculties, where you have access to resources and good discernment, good decision-making. What I see with theists often is this filter that's always applied to them, a burning fear of hell, a mortal trauma that's actually going on in their head that they may or may not even be aware of. But I think you guys can sort of see the point, which is if you're going to, weigh things effectively, if you're going to consider things efficiently and thoroughly, you have to be at a place where you're kind of comfortable and you're not under duress. You're not under threats of, mortal burning in hellfire, if you get the meaning. So just what are your thoughts about that? And how do we engage theists? It's hard sometimes, especially with how completely dishonest I regard apologists. It's hard to engage them without having a little bit of, how should I say it, frustration or kind of transference or anger back at them for simply disregarding what I would consider pretty sound reasoning. But any thoughts about what's going on?
This is interesting. Kelley, you go first on this. What do you think?
You're going to make me go first.
Yeah,
huh?
because I've been going first a lot today. You should go first.
I do agree that you can make better decisions when you're in a better frame of mind. That is without a doubt.
Sure.
I agree with. So, and I don't know if this is like a permanent physiological condition that you could put yourself into, or if you're talking about a temporary one. One of my old instructors many years ago told me that whenever you have to make a decision and you have to make it now, at least always take 10 deep breaths before you make that decision, so that you can oxygenate your brain and think a little bit better. And it's one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten. So, yeah, I think I totally agree with what you're saying. I don't know what else to add to it though. So.
Yeah, I guess I think I'm in a similar boat. It's like, we have to learn things when we're kids, regardless of whether we want to or not. Sometimes that includes things that we can't rationally think through, right? I think as atheists, a lot of us would say religious beliefs are one of those things, right? Because we can't fully know. I didn't know everything that was in the Bible. I didn't know exactly what things said. I had to have a lot of things read for me, especially if I'm looking at the King James version. I don't know what's going on. And so I have to kind of do what adults tell you to do. And that can affect your ability to critically reason and critically think about things. Some people think through this stuff better than others. There's atheists that talk about how they didn't believe in this stuff since they were kids. But, I was an adult before I became an atheist. I had to go to college first, or at least do some college to kind of think things through on this. So I think different psychologies might be susceptible to some beliefs over others. I don't doubt that. I wish we could all live in a world where we're all stoic and we're all thinking things clearly and, everything's great, but that's not the world that we live in. So it does make it more difficult, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I appreciate what you said. Like, you got out of the echo chamber, you got into college, your life started to settle down, and then you got to kind of a little better ability to critically analyze what you were thinking. But it just goes to show from a theistic standpoint how important it is to get in that one lifelong special pleading early before it can be rationally examined. You know what I mean? If you can just kind of make a presupposition or an axiomatic, hey, God exists and he's up there, and it just never gets questioned until your life settles down. You have kids, you have a job, and now you're relaxing, and you can kind of think, wait a minute. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I think we all recognize the power of teaching the kids while they're young about certain stuff. I mean, to be fair, that's why things like drag book readings have become popular the way they are, to sort of normalize folks that are in the drag community and show that, hey, they're people too, and that they're willing to entertain folks and stuff. Some people complain about that kind of stuff because, you're interacting with kids and teaching them that this stuff is normal. And I would say, yeah, that's part of it, right? Yep. Definitely. So, it's definitely something that I think everybody tries to fight for, the attention of kids, right?
For sure. Yeah. And I feel like the fight or flight response is so dramatic and intoxicating. It gets your attention all the time. And these days we have just a certain level of panic. We have social media, we have all this, stimulation and stuff. It's very hard to get to a point where you're centered and calm and can rationally examine things. And I think that's so important. I mean, these days it's probably worse than ever since even before the pandemic. Just things are just wildly out of control sometimes.
I agree. I worry about particularly older folks in my family, because I basically grew up on the internet, right? But folks who maybe don't check Facebook every day, but still check it, and these AI images that come out and these fake stories that come out, and it's like, how do we effectively evaluate this stuff? And it's only going to get harder. I don't know. More and more people are trying to develop tools and better ways to sort of mitigate these problems, and I say more power to them. We should definitely be having more conversations about it. But for now, I am going to go ahead and let you go. Thank you so much, Deepest Hell, for calling in. Hopefully we gave you
thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks for calling in, Troy. It was good talking to you, man.
Yep.
Have a great rest of your weekend. I think he was going to say something else, but I hit the drop button before he could. Anyway,
sorry
if
about
you had
that.
something else to say, you definitely leave it in the comments. But trying to wrap things up here because we are technically at the end of the show, but I want to get to one more caller because this is a call you wanted with the person you've wanted to talk to.
I have been encouraging him to call in. So
yeah, real quickly, we'll get the super chats going. I saw a couple more that came in during that call. So if we can get those on the screen here and I could read them and then we'll take the next call. One was from Alec Julian, who gave $10 and said, I don't know how you do this every week. I hope the ACA buy you guys a beer with this money. Boy, let me tell you.
You hear that?
Let me tell you.
You hear that, ACA? We need
you hear that? Yeah. Hey, that's the people. The people are speaking. Okay,
right.
Let's listen to them. I'm just saying. Thanks so much for that. And I saw one more. If we could get that on the screen as well. Yeah, from Josh L. That says a second vote, but for 2 beverages, need to make it through the 2-ish hours. I agree.
Thanks,
Yes, this is also true. This is also true. Thanks so much for the super chats. Great stuff today, folks. And let's get this last caller. We have a fireman calling in from Texas. Fireman, you are live on Talk Heathen. Thanks for calling today. What's up?
Before we get started,
we're
going to make some ground rules here, fireman. We are not going to do insults. And we are not going to put words in other people's mouths. Do we understand that?
Fine.
Okay. Now, it says that you want burden of proof that God does not exist. Now, fireman, if you want that, you're going to have to talk to somebody who doesn't believe that God doesn't exist. And that's neither Dan or I. So I don't know where we're going to go with this conversation.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say it's good to finally talk to you, Mr. Kelley.
Thanks.
Oh man. So there's been some internet talkings to each other before this, just as some context. And Kelley has asked Fireman to call in before, and now Fireman is calling in. So this is it. This is happening. It's recorded for posterity. So Fireman, go ahead. You have the floor. What do you got for us?
I'll say this. I think you kind of jumped the gun on what my argument is. So
I was just going by what this called.
Yeah, Kelley, you were excited.
Well,
you were excited.
you know,
you were getting into this. Let's hear what Fireman has to say.
Yeah, well, it was halfway right, but what I'm talking about is pretty much the reverse of the burden of proof, and I call it the proof of burden for that exact reason. And here's my thing, as personally as a believer, I can't speak for any other Christian, any other believer. There are things, put it this way, I'm not like the average Christian that says, oh, I believe in God no matter what. As for me, there are some things that can happen or that you can do that can sway my belief or change it to become an atheist or not believe in God. And that's what my argument is. That's why I call it the proof of burden. Because it's actually the opposite. I'm actually putting it on you, but personally for me. So, and I believe the King James Version Bible. I'll get that out there first. So my defense is what I'm arguing for is the King James Version Bible, and not for any other belief or any other religion. I just wanted to get that out the way. Then I'll go.
So that was real confusing. What exactly is it that you want?
Yeah, I'm a little confused. So what is on a burden of proof is on atheists to do what?
All right, okay.
Yeah.
I'll break it down. And like I say, I call it the proof of burden. Y'all call it the burden of proof.
All right, just try to break it down into one quick sentence that a 3-year-old can understand for me, would you?
Great. I just wanted to let y'all understand that first before I go into it.
All right, fair enough. Thanks for that context.
Okay. Now, I believe the Bible. Now, according to the Bible, God only created life on earth. Some people disagree with that, but you'll have to show me in the Bible where it says not. It doesn't. In the book of Genesis, God records what he created. Now, in the story of the creation, there's no story of an alien life. Would you agree?
Well, Fireman, I'm sorry to do this because it's quite annoying.
I don't agree with you because they talk about the Nephilim in the Bible, and I would consider that alien life. So,
Yeah, there is that, but I would take this a slightly different direction, Kelley, because I know it's annoying when you're giving a premise and somebody's asking a question, but why should I care about what the Bible says at all? You're starting your premise here with the Bible says this. Why should the Bible matter to me?
Here's the thing, man. The Nephilim you speak of, that was still created on Earth. I'm talking about anything outside.
Yeah, let's go back to Dan's question. Why don't you answer Dan's question first?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, my question is, you're saying the Bible says this, and I'm saying, why should I care what the Bible has to say?
Exactly. That's why I let you know that I believe in the King James Version Bible, and we can have a discussion from there.
That didn't answer.
Well, I understand you believe it, and I'm wondering why. Why should I?
Why should I believe?
Why should anybody believe that the King James Version of the Bible tells true things, like God created the earth and things like that, or allegedly true things?
But just if you can hear my argument out completely, maybe we can come to an understanding, because I wasn't quite finished.
Well, I understand, but the first premise of your argument relied on you on believing that something in the Bible that was said is true, and that it's describing true things, and that hasn't been established for me. So I need to know how I can know the Bible says true things before we can even keep going with your argument, because otherwise it doesn't matter.
All right, I'll finish breaking it down for you. Basically, the Bible says that.
No, we don't want to know what it says. We want to know why it's true.
Yeah, why is the Bible true in any way, shape, or form?
Not what it says. Why is it true?
Yeah.
At least, if you at least give me a minute to break down what I'm saying, you'll.
No, because you keep starting it. Well, what the Bible says. We don't care what the Bible says.
Well,
we want to know why. Hey, stop for a minute, fireman. We want to know why you think the Bible is true and why we should accept it as true before we go anywhere else. We don't want to know what it says. We want to know why you think it's true and why we should accept it as true. Do you understand the question?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll deliver it to you in that way. First of all, what I'm saying is no aliens have visited the earth.
That's not answering the question.
You're trying to make me pose the argument in your fashion, and that's fine. Okay. What I'm saying is no aliens have visited the earth. God said what he created. That's what I believe. Nothing has happened outside of what he said that he created. And I'm telling you that aliens, something like aliens, would make me not believe the Bible, and I would not believe that it's a God, if you understand my argument. See that you didn't let me get to my argument. Now you may understand what I'm saying.
That has nothing to do with why the Bible is true.
I don't think so.
It had nothing to do with why the Bible is true and why we should accept it as true.
Yeah, why did aliens have to do with whether the Bible is true or not? Oh, I guess I could see why. Like aliens kind of contradict a little bit what the Bible would say. There's some Christian theologians that have gotten around that, but like I still don't know why you believe the Bible is true. That hasn't been explained.
I just told you. Basically,
no, you didn't. No, you did not. You just said that if aliens were true, I wouldn't believe the Bible, but you didn't tell. Benji.
That's not Benji, but yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Fireman. You're not listening. Okay, yeah. You just keep talking and you're not listening to what we're saying, or either you're not listening, or you're not hearing us, or you're purposely not hearing us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you are saying the Bible is true, that the things in the Bible are true. You're basing your argument here on the fact that the Bible is true. Dan and I don't know that the Bible is true. So we want you to tell us why you think it is true, and why we should think it is true as well. That's all we want to know, nothing else. If you start with something else, I'm going to cut you off.
If you give me a minute to speak, I will tell you why I believe it.
Okay, well, I have when you haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. You cut me off every time I start.
We cut you off because you keep saying, well, the Bible... well, the Bible says God created things, and like that doesn't tell me anything. You know, like we have to be able to look outside of the Bible. You keep using what the Bible says.
All right, here we go, Benji.
Go
I'm
ahead.
Count to three.
Yeah,
and
we'll
it's
try
all
this
you.
again.
One,
Go
two,
ahead.
three. It's all you.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I believe that it's true because everything it said was created is I can see. Nothing outside of what it said was created, I can't see. And I'm giving you an example, like an alien. And I told you, because I believe what the Bible says in the book of Genesis and what all that God created, I'm giving you an example. If an alien visits the earth, I will denounce God and burn my Bible. That's what I'm telling you. I will believe that it's not true because now something has happened outside of what those scriptures say. Something out of the ordinary, and I'm just giving you an example to see if you can understand where I'm coming from.
Okay.
So you believe you believe the Bible is true because you can see the things that are said in the Bible.
Or the things that created
in the Bible.
Said to be created. Yeah.
Right, and I'm going specifically to the story of creation.
Okay, all right. Wait.
I've never seen an angel. You know, the Bible says angels are created. Have you seen an angel?
Well, have I seen an angel? No.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, there are.
I haven't either, to be clear. So that's one thing at least the Bible says is created that I haven't seen. So what's that? Say again?
Also books that describe creation that you might not think were true.
The alien is, the angel is written about. So if I seen the angel, it wouldn't be shot. It wouldn't be make me sway my faith.
Right, but the fact that we haven't seen it, doesn't that give you pause, though? Right, but you're saying everything you made the claim that everything that the Bible says has been created, you've seen, but you haven't seen an angel. So that's not true, right? Because you haven't seen an angel. So you haven't seen everything the Bible said has been created.
What my argument is, if something exists outside of what God says he created, then I will believe that the Bible is a lie. My argument is simple.
Okay, but surely though. Surely there must be other ways in which we could show that the Bible might be false, right? Because there's other books that I could write a book right now that says, hey, electricity exists and rainbows exist and horses exist. And, all these things exist. And that doesn't mean everything else in the book is true, right? Just because I'm describing some things that exist. So is that a good criteria to know if something is true or not?
That's why I let you know from the beginning of the conversation that I was arguing for the King James Version and not any other religion. I can't.
It doesn't matter what version of the Bible it is. It doesn't matter, fireman. And can I ask you?
Well, I want to hear what he says.
I don't know about sex.
Go ahead, keep going. Kelley was interrupting you, please.
Okay, I was just saying if it is in any other text, you would have to look it up and show me, or I would have to Google it and see, because I don't know. I'm only arguing for the King James Version Bible and what it says. And you're talking about what any other book could say. We will have to show me in the book where it says it talks about what was created and what was not. And then I would have to see if it adds up to what I see in everyday life. You know what I mean? Like he said, he created the trees. I can see that. He said he created the water. I can see that. He said he created the sky. I can see the things that he created other than what man took and made himself through technology, like cars, planes, telephone. You can say, oh, God didn't build that. Yeah, but they got the materials from the things that God says he created. And I'm saying anything outside of the ordinary of what God says he created would sway my faith and make me become an atheist and believe that there is no God. And I would denounce. That's what separates me from other so-called Christians.
Okay.
Can I ask one quick question?
They will not sway. But I'm giving an open ear for you to convince me through those things.
Okay.
Can I ask one quick question?
Yeah.
If the Quran describes creation the same way as reality, and it does, why don't you believe in the Quran instead? Since it does the same thing the Bible does.
I don't know. I would have to see where the Quran is saying.
Wait. Let's say it does. Let's say it does. You read it. You realize it describes creation. Would you become a Muslim and give up Christianity, or what? I mean, if both books describe the same thing but in different ways, so which one are you going to decide is true?
If it could be proven through that, yeah.
Okay, well, prove the Bible.
But surely, Fireman, you went to school and you learned about like when Hesiod wrote of the Titans, right? And how the Titans and Uranus, they're created the earth and stuff, and then the other gods came in and stuff, right? There's a creation myth in all of those Greek myths as well, right? I'm sure you've heard of some of that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard about Greek myths. He's talking about Zeus and Hercules.
Right. And those myths, they describe creation as well.
You say they describe Christ?
No, not Christ, creation. Right? There's plenty of myths that describe creation.
Okay.
You know? But like, we don't necessarily think those is true, right? Certainly I don't. I don't think you do.
No, I don't. Well, we agree on that. We agree on something. Great.
But the thing is, they describe creation, and so does the Bible.
Yeah,
so what's the difference between those two? How do we know that one is more true than the other?
Yeah.
You're right. How can we actually know that any book is true? To be honest,
exactly.
Sure.
How? If you want to go there, sure.
That's the reason why I'm not like the average Christians that's stubborn.
Oh, wait,
I'm willing, but listen, I'm just telling you that I'm willing to not believe in the God.
Okay.
But it would take certain things to happen for me to not.
Fireman.
I just gave you.
Fireman, stop for a minute. You've talked quite a bit. It's my turn now. I've been patiently waiting.
Kelly, go for it, Kelly.
I've been patiently waiting. Okay. Yeah. Now we've got to that point where you realize that what's in the book might not be proof that the book is true. Correct? Now let's go back to the original question. Why do you believe the Bible is true, since the excuse you gave us before doesn't count anymore? We've already gone through that. Why do you think the Bible is true, and why should Dan and I believe it as well?
Well, I'll tell you this much. I can't convert you, but I'll say this.
I'm not asking you to convert me. I'm asking you to show me why the Bible is true.
Yeah, just your own beliefs.
Well, I think that, okay, great. If you would let me say that's what I wanted to hear from you. So you can't.
Man, we've been letting you talk, dude. You have talked a lot. You've talked like 5 times more than I have.
I'm saying, sir, you said that I'll tell you in my own opinion. So therefore, you can't cut me off, correct? You got to let me speak.
I can do anything I want. I can just end the call right
for whatever
now.
reason we want. We'll let you talk, but no, we can cut you off for whatever. Okay, but go ahead.
Cut me off in the middle of while I'm talking. I mean, what can I do about that, sir?
No, you've had the floor several times. No, that's not reasonable. But go ahead. We're giving it to you again, so please.
Basically, sir, because the world continues as it is. I haven't seen anything.
That's why the Bible is true, because the world continues as it is.
Hold on, Kelly. Let him cook. Let him cook.
Let me tell you something. Something is true. It's not all just fake. Everything is just fake, sir. Something is true. Why? Because the world, we have seen nothing out of the ordinary. No aliens visited. We haven't seen anybody live to be 400 years old. And see, you thought I was just talking about aliens. I'm talking about across the board. Nothing out of the ordinary has changed.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know what.
But hold on. But the Bible does explicitly say people live to be like 800, 900 years old sometimes.
All right, and why can't that be possible now? And I hear all of this, because of the human composition breaks down and all this.
I knew you were going to love this one, Dan.
You're giving me
scientific dribble that I hear about why mankind can't defeat death, why can't we overcome the boundaries that God has set. You keep talking about why I believe in God. That's why. Because we can't overcome the boundaries that God has set. One of the boundaries is there's no life outside of the earth.
I didn't ask you.
That's not true, though, because God has given us, allegedly God has given us diseases and stuff, right? And we have been able to overcome many diseases. Cancer has been circumvented in many circumstances through use of chemotherapy and other sorts of medical treatment. No, people aren't living forever, maybe not living 400 years, but the average lifespan of the American citizen is far greater than any in ancient Judea or any other part of the world at that time. Right? Like people are living for much longer periods of time and advancements have been made in human health. So I don't understand your point there.
Yeah, that's still not a boundary. And there's plenty more boundaries, sir. I could pull anything out that. Why can't you just walk outside and fly into the sky now?
Why can't you talk without yelling at us?
Why would so I have to walk and fly into the sky in order to disprove Christianity? I mean, I can take a plane.
That would be something that God said you can't do. And I'm talking about the Bible and what God said. I'm not talking about no other book, the Quran.
Aaron, I'm talking to you from across the country right now using electrical signals and machines far beyond your eyes' understanding. Let's be real. You or I are not going to be building computers from scratch. I would say that's pretty cool. You know, like this idea is a little bit arbitrary, don't you think? You can kind of just choose any limit you want. We have an idea. We have a description for this as atheists. We call this the God of the gaps argument, right? And it's this idea that, oh, here's this other sort of boundary, this other thing that we're pushing. And as soon as humanity is able to push it and say, actually, we can do this thing now, you know, the goalposts kind of get moved, right? So we can talk about the limits of human beings all day, but that doesn't make God true or not true anymore. So, right? We're kind of at square one with that.
You're trying to apply what I believe to any book. You're like, oh, why won't we believe?
Yes, I don't believe that your belief is any more special than my beliefs, and I don't know why you haven't demonstrated that it is more special. I think it's under the same criticism and scrutiny as anybody else's. Yes.
Show me the boundaries that Allah set, because I don't know.
Yeah,
but the Bible I read, the King James Version, God created certain things, and He set boundaries that man will never overcome. And I'm telling you,
saying things over and over again doesn't make them true, Fireman. The one thing that we've kept asking you to do, we didn't ask you why you believed in God. We asked you why you thought the Bible was true, and you still haven't answered that. Now we've gone almost a half an hour overtime for the show to give you a chance to do that. And you haven't been able to do it. So I don't know that we're going to get anywhere. And I don't know that keeping the show going even more past a half an hour overtime is going to get us there. So
I want to take it. You asked me, why do I believe in the Bible? And I told you.
No, that's not what I asked.
No,
that's not what I asked. That's not what I asked, Fireman. And that's the problem. You're not listening to us. You are not listening at all. What I asked was, why is the Bible true?
Right. That's different. Very different.
Well, I can only tell you what I believe, sir. I can't tell you what's true. I can tell you
that's fine.
And that's been my argument. I think.
Okay, well, if you can't tell me if the Bible is true, then don't use the Bible as proof.
I think that's why we've been bumping heads, man. Because
no, I know why we've been bumping heads, and you don't seem to understand it. We're bumping. I'm done.
Okay,
I'm done.
Kelley's done. Fireman, you know, we talk to a lot of Christians every week, you know, and I don't know if anything you've said has really moved the needle for me. I understand that you've sort of showed yourself or claimed to show yourself as a different kind of Christian, that you're more willing to drop these beliefs than other Christians. And for that, I say that's great. That what I would suggest then is, if you want to talk to us again, figure out and try to convince us. And maybe you don't want to convince us. That's fine. I don't know why you're talking to us, but you know, that's your prerogative. Why we should consider the Bible to be true. Why any of the claims in the Bible should be true. Because the Bible is not the only holy book that has ever existed, right? There's other books that have made all kinds of other claims. And yeah, it says some stuff about creation, but so have other books, right? So we need to figure out unique ways in which the Bible can tell us true things about the world that either other books can't, or is more reliable than other texts or other kinds of writing. And then otherwise, we're not going to be able to consider the Bible any more legitimate than any other sources of text. And I think we're going to have to leave it at that, Fireman. Thanks for your time today, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. And that's it. That's all she wrote. Kelley?
I must say, I hope he has a great, wonderful weekend, man. I really do.
Do you?
Yeah,
do you, Kelley? Is that
I just want him to like start to understand the things that he's saying, right? Or understand when, like, we have had several conversations, and what he just did was take a question that I asked and completely turn it into another question. And he never answers the one you've asked. And this has been going on for 2-3 weeks now. So yeah.
Well, thanks for bringing that here.
Well, he called in last week too. So
yeah. So I anyway, that was fun. Boy, what a Sunday, folks. We are way over time. So once again, I need to thank the awesome crew that let us go over time today and is willing to stick around and do this, because we don't often do this, but only for the juiciest of calls. Okay, that's really what it is. I want to also thank Scott for being here with us today as our backup host. Scott, there he is.
Thanks so much. My pleasure. It sure was a show. It sure was
a show. I got to say. What's the prompt this week again, Scott?
The prompt this week is, boy, if I have it, I'm dropping the ball here on my duties here. The prompt for next week is, what's the kind of truth you don't want to hear?
Yes, very appropriate for a Truth Wanted edition of Talk Heathen.
Definitely.
So, yeah, leave your answer below, and we would like to know that. And also, hey, you want to give out the love rings this time?
All right, man. Let's do the love rings. Throw the love rings out.
Boom. It's coming. Wait for it. There's a little bit of a delay because the internet.
It's a love lag. It's a love lag.
Yeah. We're actually one of the only studios that still use dial-up. I don't know if you know that. That's
right.
That's a thing. So there you go. Anyway,
if you listen closely, you can hear the Morse code tapping out.
Right. Right. We have to do it manually.
Right.
Through like a little. I don't know what they use for Morse code, like a tapping thing. I just know I've seen the movies and stuff. I don't know. I'm not an expert. Anyway, on that note, it is time for us to wrap up today's show. And I think we had some other. Wait, was there another super chat? Am I missing a super chat real quick before we tap out? I think I did see one more. Maybe. No, there was one from Toughen Up Fluffy. Gave $10 and said, "You were all infinitely entertaining. Thanks for all the fun throughout the years." Thank you, Toughen Up Fluffy, for the $10. Thank you to everyone that watched today's show. Scott, you had some. If you don't believe, this is your community, and we appreciate you being here. If you do believe, we don't hate you. Kelley?
We're just not convinced.
Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great weekend and enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this talk, Heathen. There you go. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We want the truth. So watch Truth Wanted live Fridays at 7 p.m. Central. Call 512-991-9242 or visit tiny.cc/call TW.